going to stick you on the stand. Well, I'm going now. Right, okay. So, wife is just feeding the dogs. Let's get out here. I'm going to put my silly hat on. Where's my silly hat? We need the silly hat, guys. 1 second. Put you down when I get the silly hat on. Look at that. Now that is a silly hat. Look at that. I look silly. Let's put the other one on as well. I've got my warm clothes on. I'm going to get my gloves on as well. Gloves must go on. It is too cold. England at the moment. Whoa. England at the moment is freezing. Shh, let's get some gloves on. Okay. It's all right. We're wobbling all over the place, aren't we? I'm just waiting for my wife to feed the dogs, and then I'm going to walk them. It's so cold in England. That's why I got this silly hat on. So I was trying to do a video on my diet channel because I've just had a letter from the doctors explaining all the treatments I had and the improvements I've had with my heart, my dizzy spells, my ulcerative colitis. So I'm going to read that letter out on my diet, on my Elvis Presley on keto. I'm going to read it out later. It's only a 10-15 minute video, so I won't do that on here. On here, obviously, on defending Elvis, we try and keep it all to Elvis stuff, otherwise people get annoyed at me. So even though it's freezing, it's also got that nice sort of Christmassy feeling to today in England, southwest UK. Everything sounds a bit muffled because I got this silly hat on. So we've been doing the Mike Stone stuff. So obviously we're very proud that we went on to Stefan's YouTube channel. We were invited on there to discuss his Mike Stone interview. Now, Mike Stone hasn't actually given that many interviews. I think he's given about 3 interviews, maybe 4. I mean, I could be wrong. It might be more, but I don't think he's done hardly any. So the Mike Stone interviews are very telling. They give us an insight into what truly went on way back at around 1970 with Priscilla. How, who started the relationship? Was it Priscilla? Was it Mike Stone? Did Priscilla go for Mike Stone, or was it the other way around? Now, we've learnt from these interviews that 100% Priscilla spotted him a few years before she actually met him properly. She fancied him from a distance, and this is when she's with Elvis. And one of the times, as far as I can tell, was when she was on a honeymoon with Elvis, a second honeymoon. And that they went to either a tournament or a competition, and she liked him from a distance. And she told him years later that she noticed him at the tournament or the competition. And that's when she started to like him. So it's almost like premeditated. I would say that Priscilla liking Mike Stone is almost premeditated. Yeah? She had a plan. This is just my opinion. She had a plan. Now, we know that she was caught being unfaithful to Steve Peck just after Lisa Marie was born, around, I think it's around March, but, either way, a few months doesn't really make any difference, does it? So we know that she was obviously not happy. Obviously not happy. Yeah? Yeah, just stick them on their leads and I'll grab them and go. Sorry, my wife's just putting the dogs on their leads. But Rio's messaging me, but I've already sent him the money. So, just can you let him know? Yeah. Otherwise he'll try and ring me. Ruff, 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 ruff. Thank you. Let's go, dogs. So we know that around 68, just after Lisa Marie's born, she's obviously not happy, because you wouldn't... How many different reasons do we have for being unfaithful 10 months after the wedding, 3 months after the baby's born? Something obviously was not right. Now, could have this been the beginning of her realizing that she wants to leave Elvis? She wants out of the marriage. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. The impression I get is that when Elvis got engaged to Priscilla in December '66, that he decided to try and settle down, try and be faithful. I also get the impression that he was pressured, encouraged to do the right thing by Priscilla and get engaged to her, marry her, have a child with her. Now, did Elvis truly love Priscilla? I don't know. Please leave in the comments what you think. Do you think Elvis loved Priscilla? It's a complicated one. I think as a mum, he probably did. As a wife, maybe not. We've all got different opinions. This is one of the biggest debated things out there, isn't it? If Priscilla loved Elvis, if Elvis loved Priscilla. Was it a genuine relationship? Yes or no? Now, her actions tell me that it wasn't. Some of Elvis's actions tell me that it wasn't. So it's very complicated. I don't think it's right that we only see it from Elvis's point of view. Obviously, we're Elvis fans, but there are very complex issues that went on between Elvis and Priscilla. Of course, we know that when Priscilla first moved over to Gracelands when she was nearly 18, that she knew he, it was obvious that he was seeing other people as well, yeah? She didn't move over as his loyal girlfriend. Right, sorry guys, let me just put this down. Let me take my gloves off. Oh my God. Right, 1 second guys. The dogs. Right. 1 second guys. I'm gonna pick this bloody... Alright, let's have a go. Right, let's have a look. Okay. Can you hear me, guys? See me? Right. So we know that she moves over when she's nearly 18. Elvis is still seeing other people. It's clearly obvious, yeah? Elvis saw himself as a single man. He's in his 20s. He wasn't ready to settle. So Priscilla moves over. Of course, that's difficult. You know, she's moved over with the hope that she could get Elvis. We know that the Child Bride book has a different version of events, that it was all pre-planned. But the bottom line is she moves over. Now, how can I say it? You know, she had a tough 2 or 3 years. I'm not going to deny that. I think we need to be fair. I think we need to be honest. Elvis was busy in his life. Hi, Deborah. Elvis was busy in his life making his movies, especially, of course, all through the 60s. It was just the movies. The late, you know, after he comes back from Germany, he makes GI Blues, he does the Frank Sinatra show, makes some albums. But then he's concentrating on these movies, 2-3 movies a year. So she's living with Vernon and Dee at first, but she is in the hope that Elvis may calm down, settle down, you know, how would we say it, sow his oats. So eventually, they get engaged, they get married, the baby's born, she's unfaithful. At that moment, I think, after she was unfaithful, I think, not that long after, you know, we know about the Steve Peck thing. She spots Mike Stone at some tournament or some competition while she's out with Elvis. So that's the first time she noticed him. And it was a few years later, you know, it could have been 3 years later, before, I don't know the exact dates, but eventually they get introduced. Mike Stone gets introduced to Elvis, and I'm not sure exactly what the event was, but at some point Priscilla tries to talk to Mike Stone. She's got her eye on him. She set her sights on Mike Stone, and she chats him up. That's the bottom line. Mike Stone goes into detail how she chatted him up. She was quite blunt, quite forward, in his face, some would say. Now, initially he was taken aback. I would say when it comes to women and his looks, I think he was quite an insecure man. He felt that he was ugly, unattractive. He didn't think a woman like Priscilla, who was extremely beautiful he says in his own words, he thinks Priscilla was one of the best looking women ever that he'd ever seen to this day. Even now in 2025, on Stefan's interview on Artists on Record, his YouTube site, his YouTube page, channel, he clearly says Priscilla to him was one of the most beautiful women on the planet. That's how he saw her. He really did put her on a pedestal. So, my point is, he was a little bit, in awe of Priscilla. He really sort of admired her, fascinated by her, impressed with her wealth, her fame. She was probably one of the most famous women on the planet. He literally couldn't believe that this stunning, beautiful wife of Elvis Presley was after him, wanted to do everything with him, live with him, have sex with him, be with him. Because they weren't together for a week, they were together for 4 to 4.5 years. So a typical man, he gives in to the temptation. Many men wouldn't resist that kind of pressure, that kind of, how can I say it? When you have a stunning beauty and you're a man in your 20s and 30s, and you have this very famous, very beautiful, very sexy woman really going after you, how many men would say no in the 1970s? But the massive mistake that Mike Stone made. Now, if his marriage to Frances Stone was just rocky and they were going to split up, it's a common thing, come on. Couples in bad marriages split up, even sometimes when they've got kids. It does seem like the relationship was rocky. But this is the tragic wrongdoing of what Mike Stone did when he gave in to temptation of being seduced by Priscilla. His wife, Frances, was pregnant. Now, I don't know how many months she was pregnant. I have a feeling it was around 5 months. I could be wrong. Deborah, 100% he should have said no, but I do agree with his thing that he said. He said this happens every day. Married people being unfaithful. It happens every day. We know it's wrong. Now, the difference with Mike Stone is that she was pregnant. Now, I would say this, that a man being unfaithful to a woman when she's pregnant is almost unheard of. Almost unheard of, very rare. Now, you change the circumstances and that man is a karate champion who's having a secret year-long affair with the most famous woman in the world who has a child called Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis. Now, then you change up gear, don't you? Then it's much more complicated. Because a very public marriage, a very public birth of Lisa Marie Presley is probably the most famous baby young girl, 3-year-old girl on the planet. I think she was till the day she died. But my point is this, what I'm trying to say, guys, is that Mike Stone keeps talking about making choices, having consequences. course, all of us face that. Hi, Linda. All of us face that, don't we? We all face choices and consequences. We make mistakes. We can look back on our lives with regret. Mike Stone almost tries to excuse it. He almost says people are allowed to make choices as long as they accept the consequences, and that makes everything okay. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't make it okay. If you make a decision to be unfaithful to your wife that's pregnant, it's not okay. It's actually seriously wrong. And saying that people have the right for their choices as long as they accept the consequences is just an excuse. Mike Stone excuses his behaviour. If you look at the Stefan's interview that he did only a few days ago with Mike Stone, I mean, obviously the first thing I noticed about Mike Stone when I was watching the interview, the first thing I noticed about Mike Stone in the interview, he's very elderly now, yeah? You can see, I would say he's starting to become frail. Let me just keep going. I have a feeling he's 81, I don't know that. I think I might have read it somewhere. So this is a very elderly man. You know, you can be in great shape in your 80s if you look after yourself, if you eat well. He doesn't look well to me. He looks quite frail in this interview with Stefan on his channel Artists on Record. And so this man in his 80s, who I think was took advantage of, who was used, seduced. I also think he probably spent most of his life regretting what he did, even though he's too proud to admit it. I honestly think Mike Stone is too proud and stubborn to admit complete wrongdoing. But there are a few moments in Stefan's interview. Stefan is a great YouTube channel, by the way. I honestly think if you really watch Stefan's interview properly, there are moments where he says, I hurt people. I made mistakes. I put myself first. I was selfish. He clearly says it. He's half trying to apologize. He can't say it. I mean, I don't know if he has a friendship with his children. I don't know. I don't know if he has a friendship with Francis. I don't even know if Francis is still around. I don't know if his children are still around. I wonder if he kept in touch with them. I actually don't know. Debbie, yeah, it's very interesting to know if he did stay in touch. I think Emily said something that she thought that he didn't. I really wonder for that baby that was in Francis, you know, that Francis was carrying. I really wonder what went on, what happened. Obviously, Mike Stone lived with Priscilla for around 4 years. So I really wonder, did he see the kids? He had a little 3-year-old daughter. Well, by the time they split up, the daughter would have been around 7, 8. Now, Mike Stone does say in one of his interviews, I was very lucky with Lisa Marie because she reminded me of my daughter that I couldn't see. I repeat, I seen this interview. I think it was on the YouTube channel, Elvis the Ultimate Fan. I think it was on that one. He does an interview with Mike Stone. I think he does too. And one of the things he says is, Lisa Marie reminded me of my daughter. Hi, Lasika. He doesn't mention his children. You're right, Linda. Linda, he doesn't mention his children. Linda, you like my hat? I look like I'm going skiing or something. I just climbed a mountain. Climb every mountain. So, yes, you're right. You make a good point. I know, Debbie. It doesn't look good, but it feels warm. It feels warm, Linda. It's bloody freezing in England. Anyway, so So, yes, you make a good point. He never mentions the children. He never mentions the children, which is a shame, isn't it? Let's have a look. I've got to stop to read this. Lasica, I think you're talking about Elvis's weight. He was much slimmer than people say. He was not big and large like people say. If you look at pictures of Elvis in March 1977 on holiday in Hawaii with Ginger Alden and a few of the gang, he is not fat. He's got a bit of a tummy, but he is not fat. So don't believe all the bullshit that he's really fat. It's just rubbish. Anyway, back to Mike Stone. Back to Mike Stone, yeah? So, Mike Stone, the thing... I said this in the last live stream we did. He's too set in his ways. He's too stubborn to admit wrongdoing, to say he was completely in the wrong, to properly apologise. He does subtly say, oh, I hurt people. He does. And then he says, you know, I made mistakes. I put myself first. He does say that. But then he says, but that is, you know, we make choices that have consequences. I've heard him say in other interviews, nobody owns anybody. People should be able to do what they want. Nobody owns anybody. People should do what they want. I don't agree. I know the sentence. The sentence makes sense. We don't own each other. I understand that. But in reality, when you are married and you have children, you are tied to each other to a certain moral standard. Like, I have 5 kids with my beautiful wife. I would never ever even think about being unfaithful. It wouldn't even cross my mind. And I don't own my wife. She doesn't own me. But we have a set of rules, moral compass rules, that define our relationship. So yes, we don't own each other, but we have a responsibility to each other within our marriage, yeah, or within even if you're not married, even if you're boyfriend, girlfriend, even if you're engaged, even if you've just got kids, there are rules. Now, some people might not like that, but there are rules. My wife has many rules on me. And I don't really have rules on my wife. She rules me. My wife, I do as I'm told. Yeah, and I'm completely happy with that. Completely happy with that. Quite funny, really. Anyway, back to the story. Now, Mike uses Stefan's interview as an opportunity to belittle rich people, famous people, successful people. He basically says, oh, but look at their lives. Look at Lisa. Look at Priscilla. Look at Elvis. Look how everything turned out. Some of them are dead. Look at Priscilla Presley, plastic surgery. Look what this beautiful did and disfigured herself. He goes into a section of Stefan's interview to basically say, ha ha, look at you, look what you did, just because you're rich, just because you're famous, just you were beautiful, now you've had plastic surgery. He uses it to snipe at people, at wealthy people, successful people, talented people, famous people. Now, I definitely don't think that all famous people are unhappy. I don't think all beautiful people are unhappy. I don't think all rich people are unhappy. I think you get famous people that are happy and sad. You get rich people happy and sad. You get beautiful people that are happy and sad. You get poor people that are happy and sad. You get people with very normal lives that are happy and sad. So he has his little dick. And the way I see it with Mike Stone is that he's not happy how things turned out. a little bit bitter, I would say, a little bit angry as well. I'm sure him listening to me now, he'd be annoyed at me and he'd say something like, what do you know, you weren't there, yeah? It's none of your business, who are you? This is how Mike Stone would probably talk about me. Then Mike Stone would probably go into a thing of, oh, it happened 50 years ago, so you must be a very sad person to talk about something that's happened 50 years ago. I'm not sad, I'm happy. I love my life. I've got 5 kids, I've got a lovely wife. I'm very happy in my life. I'm talking about what happened 50 years ago to defend Elvis, to defend Lisa. Because I think what Priscilla and Elvis did, Priscilla and Mike Stone did some serious damage to Lisa. The one victim of all of this, good point, Debbie. He's talking about stuff that happened 50 years ago, isn't he? Well, that's really sad. Mike Stone, you must be really sad if you're talking about stuff that happened 50 years ago. It's quite hypocritical, isn't it? Thank you, Debbie. Yeah? So what I'm trying to say is that, of course we're going to bring up the past to defend Elvis. Elvis is from the past. Elvis died in 1977. He's from the past. Should we not defend Elvis because things happened in the past? Shall we not defend poor Lisa Marie, justice for Lisa Marie, because she was allegedly sexually abused by Michael Edwards in the past? Should we just let it go? Are we now sad people because we bring up the alleged abuse of Michael Edwards, the actor, the model, Priscilla's boyfriend of 6 to 7 years, who wrote a book admitting that he had a crush on Lisa Marie whilst he was with Priscilla? Yes, Michael Edwards wrote a book admitting his crush on Lisa whilst living with his girlfriend, Priscilla Presley. Now you guys, some of you guys think that Priscilla Presley turned a blind eye to it. Now that sickens me if that's true. I can't say that I have that. You know, my part of me likes to think that Priscilla wouldn't have turned a blind eye to it, that she just was too stupid to realise it was happening. She was in denial. And I think she chose to ignore it because she didn't like the thought of losing Michael Edwards. I like to think that Priscilla was just a silly woman. But if she did just ignore it, Debbie, if she did choose to ignore it, that's disgusting. If Priscilla chose to allow it and ignore it, it's disgusting. Yeah? So we don't know the truth, do we, guys? You know, the book, Lisa Marie's book, gives us a feeling. It does give us a feeling, yeah? She chose to not to believe it in her own. Yes, yeah, I know that, Debbie. Lisa Marie tried to tell her, and then Priscilla tried to put it down to a spanking, yeah? When, you know, she was bruised, wasn't she? Yeah, of course you do. Deborah, I agree. Debbie, I agree. Edward stuffed himself up admitting, yes, he admitted it in his book, that's it. And also we know about the Howard Stern interview as well, don't we? That where Lisa did try to answer the question. I can't stand Howard Stern. Howard Stern is disgusting. But we did manage to get her to admit something. Not that it helped, because the public ignored it. You think about it. Lisa Marie tried to tell the world on that interview, yeah, he is vile, Linda. So she sort of tells the world in an interview in the 90s, was it the 90s or the early noughties? And nothing was done. Michael Edwards puts it in his book. Is it called something like Priscilla, Elvis and Me? Is it called something like that? Oh, he's disgusting. Josie, he's disgusting, yeah? I've seen quite a few of his interviews. He's disgusting. And this man was actually very popular for a long time. It's revolting. I've seen a few of his interviews. They're revolting. He thinks he's smart. He thinks he's clever. He thinks he's funny. He wasn't none of those things. He was just disgusting. Just a disgusting man. I think in the 90s, that kind of crude way of getting a laugh out of people was quite popular. I just find it disgusting. So, hang on a minute. Ooh. Let me just pick up the leads. Oh, okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so back to Mike Stone. So then he's now at a point in the interview with Stefan where he's slagging off people for being wealthy, successful, famous, rich. Oh, look at how things turned out for them. Oh no, ha ha, I must be right. I must be right because they messed their lives up and I'm fine. Well, I don't think he is fine. Didn't Michael Edwards go into exile? Didn't he leave the country? He had so much hate thrown at him, which he admits. In Stefan's interview, he clearly says, the public hate me. He says it. Stefan, who's got the YouTube channel, Artists on Records, in that interview, Mike Stone says, everyone hates me. But how sad are they that they would bring up something that happened 50 years ago? They must have very sad lives. He calls anybody that criticizes his behavior sad. Oh, you're sad because you criticize the fact that I shagged Priscilla behind my pregnant wife's back. So you're sad. Yeah? It's bullshit. You call someone sad because they have an opinion on a disgusting thing you did. Because it happened 50 years ago, it's like it never happened. I think it's sad that they all got away with it. Now, Mike Stone, in a weird way, didn't get away with it because it happened to such a famous man, because it happened to Elvis, yeah? The fans never forgave Mike Stone. The fans never forgave Mike Stone. They always, even now to this day, the fans are still angry with Mike Stone 50 years later, and he knows it. Now, I wonder if he thinks that his book that he brought out will change opinion, but I actually think the fans are even more angry. Can I ask you to put in your comments, do you think that the fans are even more angry because Mike Stone now has brought out a book using Priscilla and Lisa's and Elvis's name, because he has a picture of them, their marriage, on the cover of the book? Do you think that him bringing out a book just made things worse? Because I just think as soon as we see Mike Stone trying to make more money, here we go, that's what Linda says. As soon as we see Mike Stone trying to make more money from Elvis, from Lisa, from Priscilla, from being with Priscilla, from Elvis's name, Elvis Presley, the fans just dislike him even more. It isn't gonna, and I think Mike Stone in previous interviews has hinted, proudly saying, oh, I wouldn't make money from my relationship with Priscilla. I wouldn't make money from Elvis's name. Well, that's exactly what Mike Stone's trying to do now, yeah? Right now, the reason he's doing these interviews on YouTube is to try and boost sales of the book. How many of you guys think, yeah, I think he needs money. How many of you guys think that the reason he's doing these interviews is to boost the sales of the book? Let me know, guys. I'm just gonna get past these people. Come on. Seriously, how many of you guys think that the reason he's doing these interviews with people like Stefan is just to promote the book? I personally think the book is going to be a big flop. It probably already is. And the fans are angry. Now, let me just get past these people. So what I think is this, is that I don't think we should punish Mike Stone. I really don't. I think it happened so long ago that he's been punished every year for 50 years. He's just an elderly man now. He's obviously not the man he was. Of course he isn't. He's in his 80s. He's made some very massive mistakes, which has probably made him quite bitter, quite resentful, maybe even angry, even sad, yeah? So I just think it's time to let things go. It's time to forgive. I think we have to come from a place of love, of kindness, and we have to say to Mike Stone, you've suffered enough. But I will say this to Mike Stone, please properly apologise. Please properly show regret. Let's not name call. Let's not use Priscilla's plastic surgery to go, haha, told you so. Let's not use the fact that Elvis and Lisa were wealthy, successful people as a way to put them down and say, oh, look at that. Because they had fame and success, look how shit their lives were. That's not fair. That's not fair. I actually think Elvis and Lisa had many, many very happy times. You go through Elvis's life properly, he had a fantastic life. He had thousands of moments of special times. He was very happy. And I say the same for Lisa Marie. She had times in her life, on and off, where she was extremely happy. She didn't spend 40 years being miserable. Elvis didn't spend nearly 40 years being miserable. Elvis had loads of happiness, so did Lisa. But yes, they also had some horrific times. Now remember, with Elvis, it was not his fault that he inherited these genetic problems that gave him serious health problems with his heart, his lungs, his liver. You know, he had problems that he genetically inherited from Gladys, from his grandparents. He was a very sick man. So it had nothing to do with his money that made him sick. He got sick because he got sick. Elvis was going to get sick regardless of money. He was destined to get sick. I don't think he was destined to die young. I think that's bullshit. But I do think he was destined to get sick. Now, does fame shorten some people's lives? Yes, of course it does. Some people can't handle fame. I definitely believe that. But not all people. Not all people. So I just think Mike Stone takes the opportunity of Stefan's interview to put down Elvis, to put down and belittle Lisa, to put down even Priscilla, to belittle her, almost to mock her. Like, you dumped me, but look how your life turned out. I think Mike Stone says that, more or less. You dumped me, but look how your life turned out. Look at your plastic surgery. Look at the decisions you've made through your life. No, because Linda, I agree that fame can be destructive, 100%. But he goes out of his way to bring it up in Stefan's interview, but he does it in a way that says, ha ha, told you so. Yeah, oh, look at me, I'm fine, you're not. I wasn't rich, but you were. I wasn't famous, but you were. But look how I've turned out compared to you. He has a dig at Elvis and Lisa and Priscilla. That's how I see it. I see him as being quite bitter, quite angry, very defensive, very defensive. He definitely talks rubbish, but at the end of the day, he's a human being. He's just like you and me. He has feelings, he gets upset, he can be hurt. He probably feels downtrodden, because the bottom line is, whichever way you look at it, Priscilla did dump him, and then the public did go on to hate him for 50 years. So, you know, I have to see his point of view as well. I do think that he completely blew his opportunity to say sorry properly. He does try and say sorry. He shows a bit of regret. He says he hurt people. He said he put himself first. He says he made selfish decisions. So I want to be fair. I still think if it was me and I was in his shoes and Stefan was interviewing me, I would have spent the whole half hour asking for forgiveness, apologizing, I wouldn't have said nothing bad about Elvis or Priscilla or Lisa. I wouldn't have used wealth and success and fame as an excuse for his mistakes. I wouldn't have brought up Priscilla's plastic surgery. I just think that's cruel. You will never see me bring up Priscilla's plastic surgery and call her names. I just won't do it. I won't do it. Now, you know I've got strong views about Priscilla. Yeah? Because don't forget, I'm just as disgusted about Priscilla for seducing Mike Stone and leaving Elvis and dragging Lisa away from her father. I'm very upset with Priscilla, but I won't call her names. I won't call her names. Anyway, guys, I'm home. So we've had a good chat. We've had a 40-minute chat, a 40-minute walk. I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. Really good. So I don't know if I'm coming back on. We'll see. I may just post some more videos. I do have a lot more birthday videos to post, ones that are like news clips from around the world celebrating Elvis's 90th birthday in all the different countries. I've got about 10. I was going to start posting them onto the channels. I also want to do a short video on my Elvis Presley fan on keto channel and just talk about my medical condition, because I've had a doctor's letter that's really good. So I wanted to read that out as well. Anyway, guys, I'm off. Take it easy, guys. If you like what I do, get us a coffee. Hit like, hit subscribe, become a member. You take care, guys. We're out of here. Bye, Lasika. Bye, Debbie, and the other Debbie, and Linda. See you later, alligators.